The Eagles have every single thing to make a great tush push team that ultimately has helped them get garner a lot of touchdowns and a lot of first downs.
Backup quarterbacks kind of having a moment in this early portion of the NFL season. You're a guy who's been in that role before. What advice do you have for guys as they enter that starter's job?
Yeah, I mean, I think the big thing is just your preparation throughout the week is the big thing. So when you're watching film as a QB room early in the morning, doing your extra preparation, you're running scout team at practice, so you're not actually getting any reps at practice. But when the offense is going, just being locked in, being behind the quarterback, taking those mental reps each and every day to build that database. And if you got to grab a couple young guys after practice that maybe are your scout team receivers to run a couple routes, like take advantage of that. So if you do play in the game or whatever it may be, you're prepared. It's all about preparation and just being diligent to where if you have to go in the game, you're mentally and physically ready to go.
Ready at a moment's notice. That's the name of it. Yeah. So
It happens quick. That's for sure.
definitely. What's an average Sunday like for you? Are you watching all these games now? Like, are you paying attention to these QB performances? Are you spending time with family, running errands? What is a Sunday like?
Yeah, the Sundays are different nowadays. It always starts early morning with we take the kids, we take the family to church, and then a lot of times as a family we'll go grab something to eat after that, and then we'll get home and turn on the NFL games. Obviously, can't watch every single one from beginning to end. There's also a couple kids running around the house, and then one takes a nap around 1 o'clock. So I'll go back and forth from a couple key games or have the 4 boxes on the screen and just watch it here and there. I started a football podcast with my brother-in-law who also played in the NFL and did broadcasting for a while. So we do that every week. So we're talking ball. So it's good for me to know what's going on. That's the season pod that we created, but I'm watching as much as I can but also being dad. And so it's not like sitting there all day. It's catching glimpses from, oh man, that's a good play. This is what's going on. If I know looking at scores, it's a tight game, I'll try to watch like the 2-minute drills or 4-minute drills or whatever it may be throughout the course. And then gathering information from different various sources for analytics, whether, using AI or whatever it may be to gather my information for the podcast. So it's definitely different on Sundays.
Yeah, putting a whole new meaning in dual threat.
Yeah.
Which backup quarterback kind of impressed you the most yesterday? Obviously, Carson Wentz out in Minnesota.
Yep.
You had Mac Jones leading the Niners to a second straight victory, among others.
Yeah.
Who stood out to you yesterday?
Yeah, I mean, I think going into last week, we had a conversation. I think there was 5 backup quarterbacks playing in the games, and who were the 2 that were going to have the most success was sort of our question that we did on the podcast. And the 2 that I felt the best about were Carson Wentz and Mac Jones. I just think that those guys match the offense that the starter has been running really, really well. And they've both been very good offenses the last couple of seasons. So it's sort of a plug and play situation. But my prediction was that Carson would step into that game and play really, really well and do what he needed to do to win the game for the Vikings. Obviously, they had more than just offensive explosion. They won it in every facet of the game. But it was awesome being a former teammate of him. And he's only been there for a few weeks to go in there and have a great game and get a victory. It always feels good when, you've been out of football for, a little bit and just joined a team. So I was excited for Carson to get that victory.
Do you still keep up with him a little bit? Did you talk to him in the last month or so as he kind of got situated in Minnesota?
I honestly, it's funny. Guys are different.
Yeah.
I'm not texting a lot of guys that I played with. From time to time, we'll catch up. He actually loves my brand dad season. He loves our hats. So a lot of time our conversations are different styles of hats that he likes. And they're just seeing how the family is doing. But I'm in it with the kids and my wife and being where we are and starting a small business. So I'm not on the phone catching up with guys, but I was just in Philly catching up with teammates this last week. So it's always fun. You never really skip a beat when you see the guys. But there's so much of life that's happened, whether it's having more kids or there's a different vocation. So it's always interesting to see what's going on there and old teammates' lives.
Yeah, and you mentioned Philly. I don't know if you had a chance to watch that craziness yesterday.
Yeah.
A lot being said about kind of how the offense is working right now. You had Jalen's interaction with offensive coordinator Kevin Petula on the sideline, A.J. Brown, some comments after the game. Like, what's your read on the Eagles' offense through 3 weeks so far?
Yeah, I think the big thing is there. Anytime you have a new offensive coordinator, especially one that's hired from within, and I don't know Coach Patullo at all, but I do know that they obviously think highly of him to hire him from within, and but it's always a challenge. Anytime I've ever been anywhere, especially when we won the Super Bowl, we lost Frank Reich, who was our coordinator. Doug called the plays, but Frank was the coordinator. He's the one who led the room in the meetings. Um, there's always a challenge. There's always growing pains. It's tough to replace a guy like Kellen Moore, who gets a head coaching job. Kellen has always had a good ability to call plays that marry to open it up for the passing game, explosive plays everywhere he's been. So that's the challenge for the Eagles is how do you marry this passing attack with these dynamic receivers and tight ends with this rushing game? And how do you make them look similar to where the defense can't key personnel-wise, alignment, and execution? So that's going to be the challenge they face going down to Tampa Bay this week is, hey, can we take another step in this passing game? I know it went well in the second half yesterday, and it was really good to see because if they wouldn't have got that going, they'd have been in trouble. But a lot of those routes were one-on-one comeback routes or maybe a backside in route. I want to see them marry the run game a little bit better with the passing game with a little bit more play action, maybe some bootlegs in there that they'll help each other out. They're so good at running the ball. There's going to be less people in the secondary to defend. There should be wide open. There should be openings all over the place for A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert to make plays because they're so good at running. And if they can stretch the field and make the defense not know what they're going to do, it's going to open up everything and they're going to be unstoppable.
Yeah, no, I think kind of Philly's MO, especially last year with the acquisition of Saquon Barkley, was kind of just pound the rock. But
Yeah.
I think, as you're saying, there are creative opportunities there for sure.
Oh, no doubt.
But like one thing that they do pretty consistently is, and it's become a hot topic, is the tush push.
Yes.
Where do you fall in this discourse? I know you probably talked about it way too much, but like, where do you fall in the tush push discourse?
Yeah, we had our podcast the other day. It was 2 hours and 30 minutes that was talking the tush push and having this conversation. I'm pro tush push. I think it's great. I think it's hilarious that the NFL or different organizations want to ban it. It's because the Eagles are so good at it. The way Coach Stoutland teaches the O-line to gain leverage, to get low early as opposed to shoot out. The way you have Jalen Hurts, who is an unbelievable athlete at quarterback that can do it all and just has such powerful legs. The guys behind him are so powerful that can push. They've just mastered the play. I don't think it's something you can get rid of. I do think the NFL has to officiate it better. There definitely were some false starts against the Chiefs and things like that. And I think that's on the league to officiate it better, but I don't think it should ever be taken out of the game. And then there's always, they talk about the injuries. And I was just talking with a former player the other day that has run the tush push at the highest level. And he's like, this was the play I felt least likely to get injured on. And he was an O-lineman. And he's like, I actually was never worried about it getting injured on the tush push. So that's not even an argument. He's like, I'd be more, if we were just running a run play or whatever, you're more likely to get injured. So there's a lot of arguments out there that don't have merit. I just think the Eagles are great at doing it. Every other team in the NFL has the ability to run this play. The reason they don't is they don't know how to execute it well, or their quarterback's just not good at QB sneaks or doesn't want to do them. So the Eagles have every single thing to make a great tush push team that ultimately has helped them get garner a lot of touchdowns and a lot of first downs.
Yeah, no, I'm totally with you on that. And we're not going to make this like a tush push thing, but the Eagles should be allowed to do something that they excel at, as you're saying.
Yes.
And, but they shouldn't have an unfair advantage, which is what you mean with the officiating.
Yeah, if there's a false start or an offsides or lining up incorrectly, there's got to be a penalty. And the Eagles, they're not the ones throwing the flags, so like it's up to the officials. You can't be mad at the Eagles that's not called. That's on the officials. So I'm with you on that. They're doing something at a high level, so kudos for them for creating a new play that is executed at an astronomical level.